Hello and welcome to the first video of 100 Principles in Chess which you must know. Today we want to talk about 10 principles which is you must know. Let's start it. The first principle: develop your pieces immediately. Aim of chess in opening is to develop pieces, to base squares and castling and connecting rocks. Each player which can initiative in opening, control center and coordinate your pieces. For example, d4, d5, the symmetrical controlling the center, c4, knight f6, knight c3, the queen's gambit, c6, the Taraj variation, which we will be discussing in the opening playlist, knight f3, e6, bishop g5, bishop e7, e3, knight b d7, bishop d3, b6. And here we can play castling, and the last move can be queen c2. In this position, as you can see, the king is castling, the rook are very well connected, and also other pieces very well developing, and we arrive the middle game. The second principle discussing about first develop knights. For example, this position you can see after e4, c5, the Sicilian, as you can see, the bishop can control some other squares like e2, d3, c4, b5, and also a6. But our knight is just controlling two squares, which is h3 and f3. Absolutely h3 is not good, which is in red. And also here, after playing knight f3, which is great move, d6, the Sicilian variation, after d4, tick, knight f6 and knight c3. As you can see, our developing the knights is completed, and after that we can develop our bishop and castling. The third principle called avoiding moving pieces again and again in the opening. Attempt to develop in one move to the base squares your pieces. For example, after e4, e5, which is the symmetrical controlling center, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, which is the Royal Lopez or Spanish opening, which we will be discussing in opening parts. Here, black can play lots of moves like a6 or knight f6. But here, black play knight b4, which is absolutely bad move, because in the opening we must be play each piece in just one temp, not lots of temps. The fourth principle called avoid unnecessary pawn moves. We just want to play moves with pawn just for opening our diagonals for our bishop and also queen, as you can see on the board. After e4, c5, the Sicilian, we can play lots of moves like knight f3, which is the best, but in this position the most bad position or bad moves which we can do is like h3 and a3, which is absolutely not good moves in the opening. First we must develop our pieces and avoiding unnecessary pawn moves. Let's go to the fifth principle, which is called avoiding unnecessary checks. If you can develop with check, it's a great idea, but without that will be absolutely bad. Let's see a position after e4, e6, d4, d5, the French defense. We can take after take. Here we can develop our pieces like knight f3, knight f6, but in this position white play a bad move like queen e2 check, which this check is not useful, and also that can be great for black because he or she can develop the bishop and castling, but white has a really bad bishop in here, which is f1, and this will be so bad for white. So the check is not important, which is unnecessary, and avoid them. Let's go to the sixth principle, which is called if you are behind the opening in developing, avoid open the position. It means if your developing is completed, after that you can open the position. Open game is a great idea for the developer player. Let's see a position after e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, and bishop b5. The Roy Lopez, bishop f6, castling, knight takes e4, and here we can play d4. If black wants to take our pawn, that will be completely bad for that, because our complete is better and just can play some other moves, which is close the position, because as you can see, his king is on the center, and also the other pieces are completely, it must be read, because they are completely bad pieces and not developing. Just two pieces a little good. Let's see the seventh principle of the chess. During opening, put the queen behind the pawn line. What it means? Queen is so strong and vulnerable piece. So attempt to put in on the behind of the pawn. What it means? Let's see a position like d4, d5, the symmetrical opening, the queen's pawn, c4, knight f6, knight c3, e6, bishop g5, bishop e7, knight f3, and also knight bd7, queen c2. It means our queen must be on behind of the pawns, and as you can see that our queen is so strong, and we must be safe that from our attack the opponent, which is our opponent cannot attack on our queen. Let's see the eighth principle in chess. Avoiding exchanging developing piece with undeveloping piece. It means you don't want to and you don't need to exchange an important and developing your piece with undeveloping our opponent piece. Not exchange best piece with the best square with a bad piece and bad square our opponent. What it means, let's see. After d4, d5, bishop f4, which is the London system, and c5, and here we can also take the knight in b8, but that will be absolutely bad because our bishop is very well and have a great square and develop, but the knight is not developed, and also that has a really bad square, and that's not important to us to exchange and take it. Let's go to the ninth principle, which is called castling as fast as possible. Security of king is so necessary and essential in opening or middle game, and we also develop the rooks in just one castling. And also castling is better to be on king's side, which is so better, which we will be see in the 10 principle. Let's see a position after e4 c5 knight f3 d6 d4 take knight f6 bishop g5 e6 queen d2 bishop e7 knight c3 knight c6. As you can see, we can also here play some other moves like developing our bishop, and after that castling, and maybe if we have an opportunity to castling, that's so great to castling. And the last principle in this video, which is the 10 principle, is kingside castling is better than queenside castling. Kingside is more corner than the queenside. Why? Because also we can play very fast and active our rook in e file. Let's see an example. e4 d6 d4, and also knight f6 knight c3 g6 bishop e3 bishop g7 knight f3 castle bishop d3 e5 d5, closing the position, and g7 bishop is really bad bishop, knight bd7 and queen d2. And here we can also castling long and also castling short. Castling short, it means the queen side, it means the king side, and also the long castling, it means the queen side, which we will be try and attempt to castling on the queen side, which is also good, but absolutely the king side can be really great. For example, after some moves here we can castling, and after that will be great to active our rooks in the e file and d file. This is the first 100 principle part 1, and we're discussing just 10 parts, and we will be discussing more in the other section. All the best. Thank you.